Hi, my name is Tartar Icing with FlexTapeBun here. We will be playing a game called Seduce Me, which was a visual novel, which was pretty good back in its heyday. And
Oh,
we're gonna
really?
be dating multiple dudes and basically messing around, and let's hope we all have some fun. Let's go. And so now we're going to do a new game.
Yes, we are.
This is a fictional interactive narrative. Any character resembles to real life people are purely coincidental.
Coincidental. Half the characters like me. This is not. This
Also,
is.
please know that the following game is made for PG-16 audiences. Please know that sexual violent themes are explored in this game. Trigger warnings, abuse, applied and rape, and suicide. You have been warned. Please enjoy. Question mark, question mark. What?
This will be me.
Mm-hmm.
Why, hello, my. Why, hello, my. Aren't you a gorgeous sight? Can I be honored enough to know your name?
And what's gonna be my name?
Yeah. What'll be your name of choice for this playthrough?
Hmm. Since I've had that last project in mind, I'm just gonna go with Park because that's kind of funny. Let's just
I
go.
may well put the exact same on my end.
Mm-hmm. So I am gonna go with Park.
I skipped past the first line of dialogue.
Oh, the
Oh
que-
no.
I'll take over for this one. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Hmm, a lovely name for a lovely person like you. Wonderful.
Eric, do your job. Very well. This game was produced by Seraphim Entertainment under the direction of Michaela Laws and is powered by Empire Visual Novel Engine. We truly hope you'll enjoy the story. I know you'll enjoy it since you'll be in it.
Ooh.
Eric? Fine, fine. Farewell, my sweet.
Somewhere.
Uh, I will be doing the narrator stuff,
Sure.
as the narrator stuff can be done a lot by me.
Oh yeah.
Some women.
All right.
Oh, yes, the fight scene at the beginning of the game.
Ooh,
Damn.
intrigue.
Ah, come on,
Ah.
is that all? Wanna try me, asshole? Sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Crap, missed. Let's retreat for now. No kidding, let's get out of here. That's right, you better run, you stupid punks. Stay out of our territory. This is you.
Call it fate or call it coincidence. That one moment of violence started a chain of events I will never forget. Mrs. Phillips. This formula, created in the 1770s, is one of the most important in the field of financial theory. It is used to calculate the price of European-style options and is widely used by option marketers, though there are some discrepancies that are now corrected within the modern viewpoint. Rain. It's been a long time since we've gotten rain around here. It is the season for rainy weather, so it's not exactly that surprising. Personally, I love the sound of it. The way the raindrops fell. Like the soft tapping of fingers, it was so smoothing. Even looking at the droplets hit the glass of the window was strangely calming. For this reason, I felt lucky for having a seat next to the window, though I did spend more time staring outside than I did paying attention in class. The lectures in class were pretty boring. Mrs. Phillips' voice wasn't sulphuric, but I just wasn't interested in what she was saying. And since it was the period right before lunch, all I could think about was doing other things in my free time. Honestly, I didn't care much for economics. Sure, I had good grades in class, but it was only because I read the textbook and did my assignments as I had to. I was only taking this class because it was mandatory. If it were up to me, I would probably have taken another course. Luckily, it was my senior year, so after this semester, it would mean the end of high school courses forever. Thank God for that. I didn't hate high school. It was just kind of mundane how the days drifted on and on as if there was no end to it. The only thing I really enjoyed about going to school was meeting my friends and hanging out with them, but that was kind of it. In short, I was done with high school. The start of second semester brought a note of finality to it. I had already applied to many universities the semester prior, and I was expecting replies sometime in the next few months. It seemed like the start of something new, something that would change. That is, if things could change. I stared at the faint outline of the raindrops in the distance. For now, I was stuck in this class. Again, Mrs. Phillips. Mrs. Anderson. Mrs. Phillips' raised voice interrupted my train of thought. When I was thinking about class, I quickly turned my head to face the teacher. Hopefully she didn't pick me just because she noticed I was spacing out. Yes, ma'am? Would you care to name the equation I set up on the blackboard? Oh, I think I read about that in the textbook last night. It should be the Black-Scholes model formula. Mrs. Phillips. Very good as always, Mr. Anderson. Anderson. It followed me wherever I went. Most people didn't really know me by my first name, but rather by my surname. No doubt since the surname was the trademark of the internationally famous and philanthropic, thank you, philanthropic Anderson Family Toys, and because of the founder was my own grandfather.
And before you go any further.
Yes?
Mrs. Anderson, we've been expecting you.
Ah! Suzu, one of my best friends, turned around and proudly gave me a punch to the shoulder. Kick ass, girl! From beside me, I heard Naomi, another one of my best friends, clearing her throat in obvious disapproval of Suzu's choice of words. She means good job. Mrs. Capini. Oi. Care to tell me who the creators of this formula were? Some guys named Black and Scholes. Fisher Black and Myron Scholes. Very good, Mrs. Patterson. Show off. Better study next time, Suzu. Be like us and study once in a while. Suzu rolled her eyes and slouched in her chair as Naomi gave her a small smirk. She always pouted when Naomi showed her up. That's the end of today's lecture. Now let's separate into groups and work on your project. Remember, everything is due on Monday. Go ahead, now. Before I knew it, Suzu and Naomi had scooted their desks to align with mine, and we turned into the Three Musketeers. Wherever the teacher let the students decide on groups, we always grouped together in our little trio. It was sheer stroke of luck that we managed to be in the same class, so we had to at least take the opportunity and stick together as much as we could. Besides, we were most comfortable around each other than, say, compared to being around any other classmate. It just made sense for us to put our heads together for any kind of project. I took out the poster we were making and rolled it open into the 3 desks. We were pretty much finished with fulfilling most of the guidelines for the project, though we still did have to add a few finishing touches here and there. After working on making the poster a bit prettier, we sat back and inspected our work to see what still we had to do. Naomi, as usual, was the first to look into any issues. She lightly tapped a pencil against her chin, staring intently at the project. Alright, so let's see. We finished the budgeting section, the building leasing, and the cost of labor. What else do we need? Susie straightened up to look at the poster and stroked her chin. After a few seconds, her face brightened up and she spoke up. How about a company name? Huh, did we really skip over that? Wow, how do you skip over a company name? I don't understand.
You'll figure out in the next line.
Of course we did. You always go straight into the logical statistics and stuff that you completely skip over the fact that we need a name for our projects.
Someone who's too logical for the wrong good.
Yes. At least we caught it this time. What do we name it? Not sure. What do you think, Park? It always came down to me.
God. That's gonna fucking crack me up every single time the character's name is mentioned.
The fact I called her Park. Whenever there was something to be named or titled, I was a master of ending decision, even when I didn't want to be. I like Trinity Corporations. That is way too predictable. How about the Dragon Company? What do dragons have to do with our project? What? It's a totally unpredictable name. It's hot. But our company sells bubble gum. Who said we can't produce spicy bubble gum? What do you think, Park? Yeah, what do you think, Park? Both of them looked at me expectantly, even though I wasn't quite sure myself. I didn't want to choose sides, but if it were up to me, I would say... Alright, what are we gonna choose here?
One of them is boring as fuck.
I
The
know.
other one is fun. We obviously choose the fun one, Dragon Company.
Let's do that then. I like Dragon Company. Booyah! Dragon Company it is! Alright, now that we decided on a name, now what? As we ended our name game, a giggle scrambled my thoughts. Huh? Who's that? Ignore it, it's just Lizette. I looked over to my shoulder to see her laughing with her circle of friends, mostly comprised of popular people that were practically friends with everyone in the school. As a result, everyone in the school knew them. In the center of it all was Lizette White. She sat with a posture that indicated she was still working, but that she also was ready to casually chat about her day. She had an endearing balance of charismatic and awkward, which was readily apparent when she first talked to someone. It was easy to make her smile and laugh, and she was quite the comedian as well. Basically, she was perfect. Not that she was like a robot or something, but she was the student that everyone else wanted to be. Lizette was bright, easygoing, and above all, had her future laid out right in front of her. Unlike the average
It's not
student,
so she obviously didn't spec into speech in Fallout.
I think she actually might have taken out speech.
She
Obviously.
might have taken out speech, yes. She removed speech entirely. It's been at 1 the entire playthrough.
And then she just crammed it into charisma. That's probably what happened.
Yep.
And as a result, she was confident and ambitious, though sometimes it could rub a lot of people the wrong way. Moreover, I had known her ever since I was young, but it had ultimately resulted in a rivalry that continued today. Of course, my friends knew what was between us, and upon seeing me glance at her, they shifted their attention to her. She doesn't look like she's working, in my opinion. She probably is, but she's too much of a stuck-up priss to allow herself to look like she's actually doing work. Oh, come on, Suzu. She may be a little off-putting, but that's not the giant priss that you're making her seem to be. The day she's in the priss is the day I turn to you. What's that supposed to mean? Never mind.
It's supposed to mean something.
It's about time. Let's bail. Unsurprisingly, Susie was the first one out of the classroom, slinging her backpack over her shoulder with ease as she quickly strolled out the door. Her seat wasn't even the closest to the exit, and she always manages to be the first one out of the door. I don't think I'll ever understand that. So, what are we going to pick here?
I have no clue as to what we should pick.
Alright, I'm just going to go with the bottom one and say, me and you both, Naomi.
Oh, we've got the same bottom one.
Yep. See, why can't she be normal like the two of us? It's Suzu, Naomi. Think about it. Very true. Man, you guys are slow. Are you coming or what? We heard you the first time. Not everyone has rocket boosters attached to their legs when the bell rings. Are you kidding me? That class was ridiculously boring. Even Miss Valedictorian here was dozing off a bit. I do have to admit I was spacing out. And just because I answered one question doesn't mean I'm automatically the valedictorian. Okay, so it wasn't too interesting, but you should at least pay attention when Phillips is talking about the important parts. So you finally admit it. We're finally on the same wavelength. Welcome to the club, Patterson. Please, don't call me by my last name. This isn't the classroom, and never in a million years will we never see things eye to eye. Despite this, they both burst out in laughter. Normally, anyone would think that opposites like them would ever associate with each other, but even though they were so different, their friendship somehow made a lot of sense. That explains a lot of people. Sometimes
I'm friends with with people who are the complete opposite of me.
I was seeing someone the complete opposite of me, despite about a decade of friendship, so it's a fair statement. Maybe they were just perfect compliments, or personally, they didn't dictate the possibility of their friendship. After all, we three had been best friends since preschool. Well, that's kind of sweet, and actually kind of impressive if you look at today's world.
I don't know anyone from my high school anymore.
I only talk to, say, maybe 3 people.
Yeah. Well, once you leave high school and college, you end up not talking to some people.
Oh, yeah. College especially. I mean, some girls got married, so That's out of the window. Some already had kids, so that's even more out the window. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So where are we heading first? Cafeteria? I think we can all agree that we're really hungry, especially about hearing after our company's line of deliciously spicy bubblegum. Who would even buy that, I wonder? Me.
Me.
I would pay a good money to get a taste of it. I do not like spicy. I can't with spicy, so no. Just no.
I would pay to get that. Love me some spice.
If I can't handle a spicy curry, what makes you think I can handle spicy bubblegum?
I'm someone who puts extra chili in their meals.
I just have it no chili.
I have spicy food. Spicy food is a way of life.
To you, not so much to me. Ha!
Next.
You do like spicy food after all. We entered the cafeteria, a bustling room filled with the aromas of different kinds of food. As we got in line, we ordered our meals and chattered freely. Cajun fries and the spicy chicken burger for me. That's my definition of a good meal. I'll take the tuna sandwich and some juice. You're probably going to need some water or something to curb all that spicy flavor, Suzu. I can't be tamed by the likes of that. If it's spicy, then it's going to be all or nothing. Yeah, that's not my philosophy.
That's the way I see it. Always the spice.
You're crazy. I agree with Naomi. 100%. Hell yeah, I'm crazy. I think I'm getting a migraine. I think I'll go with... Alright, what's the choices here?
Both of the what they would have would be meals for me. So it's really up to what you would have.
I'm just gonna have a simple mac and cheese and soda. That's the kind I want. That's the middle road. That's the good middle road. A delicious middle road. That sounds...
I would have flavored water with my mac and cheese.
I'd have iced tea. Yeah, that sounds good. I agree with her. Once we got our food, we settled down at one of the empty tables, putting our backpack aside to finally dig into the food. Suzu leaned back in her chair, tilting it back so that she could rest her feet on the table by her food. Alright then, is there anything you want to talk about? Haha, bored already? I know, let's talk about, say boys and I'll never speak to you ever again.
Yes. What an attitude to have there.
Yep. That is the attitude that me and a few of my friends had. Aw, why not? What's so interesting about talking about guys? It's not like any of us are gonna get boyfriends anytime soon. We don't know that. What if one of us does get a boyfriend? Like that's gonna happen, Naomi. Look at us. I'm a tiny Italian and you're a ditzy blonde. Hey! No offense, and Anderson here? Well, she could land a boyfriend and girlfriend if she wants. Or girlfriend. She can be a lesbian if she wants. It's 2021!
This game was made in 2015.
I mean, they called it, so. True. That's okay, Suzu. I'm not so sure if I want a boyfriend yet. Why not? It's our senior year. Might as well go get a boyfriend. Maybe she's just not interested in a relationship, Suzu. Well, it really wasn't about wanting a relationship, but more of there was no one interesting enough to be in a relationship with. Don't get me wrong, I'm an open person, but there were not many interesting guys in the school to go out with. Who knows? Time will tell. Naomi looked at me, wanting to continue the conversation. However, before she could speak, the speakers in the cafe started and an announcement echoed through the cafeteria.
Mrs. Anderson, please come to the main office immediately. Please bring your things with you.
Oh my. Looks like our plans have been cut short. The men in white coats have finally come to get you. Suzu, don't joke around. What if it was serious? Fine. If something happens, just call us. Funny
The lack
enough.
of lines. The lack of lines for me.
I know.
Back in the fucking prologue, I have so little lines.
I know. Because it's just all girls talking. It's literally just all girls. Funny enough, something did happen. And it certainly no laughing matter. Cold. It was really cold. The rain became heavier that afternoon, accompanied by rolling thunder now and then. The skies had turned dark, though I couldn't see any of it under the black umbrella. Not that I was looking up. In fact, looking up was the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. I stared at the grass beneath my feet, unable to look up at the people weeping around me. All I could see was the damp grass underneath my feet. Only the monotone eulogies that floated around through my ears reminded me that I was at a funeral. It was only when the speeches ended I was able to raise my head. A small gathering of people, mostly made of relatives that I didn't even know, were related to me, were huddled around a simple small grave. For a while, all I heard was the sound of raindrops on umbrellas. If it weren't raining, everything would probably be in a heavy silence. I looked beside me, where my father was standing and holding up a large black umbrella for a small family of 3. His face was emotionless, a strange sight next to my weeping mother. I wondered what was going through his mind. After all, etched in the smooth gray tombstone before us was his father's name. My grandfather, the one who raised me like his own daughter, had passed away that day. The ceremony was small. Only a close family were allowed to come. Slowly, though, people began to leave, leaving my father, mother, and me behind at the grave. A man dressed in a clean black suit, under the uniform black umbrella of the funeral attendees, walked towards us, introducing himself as grandfather's lawyer. He pulled out a few documents from his suitcase and began to read aloud its contents.
And now I shall read Harold Anderson's last will and testament.
It was only my parents and I that were allowed to be present for my grandfather's will. It was under the strict request of his lawyer, and there was a good reason why.
And to my dearest granddaughter, I give my estate, all my furniture, and decor that resides within the house shall also be given to my granddaughter.
Wow. What?
What an absolute madman giving an estate to his granddaughter.
I know. I mean, so much, so suddenly, damn. I couldn't believe my ears. I had earned the family estate at 18? That was impossible, yet it was written by my own grandfather's hand.
You passed the family estate to her. Why am I not surprised?
Dear,
Well, did he say anything about what will become of the CEO and chairman position of the Anderson Toys Company? No, it's presumed that the vice chairman will succeed his position. Even to the bitter end, he wouldn't give in. What a stubborn old man.
shaking his head, my father turned to face my mother with a serious expression on his face.
But the estate. We should send her there to get her used to the building. It'll be a good place for her to live after high school.
Are you sure we should?
Why not? This would be a good experience for her.
Honey, what do you think?
Dot, dot, dot.
I really wasn't sure what to say. Why did my grandfather think that I was the appropriate heir to the mansion? Was I even ready to live on my own?
Well, that seems to be it. We'll just be taking our leave now. I'm sure the little heiress needs some time to adjust.
David! Even though she raised her voice, my dad wordlessly began walking back to the car, disinterested.
What an emotionless bastard.
Indeed he is. Don't mind him, honey. I think your grandfather's passing really affected him. Why don't we get back home for now? You can go on ahead to the car, Mom. I think I need some time alone with Grandpa. Oh, of course. Take all the time you need. She gave me a quick hug and hurried after my dad. I looked around the funeral grounds, which was completely empty, save for the sullen-looking grave that was laid in front of me. I'm sure if Grandpa were in charge of arranging all of this, it would have been much different. It was blatantly obvious that my dad was in charge of the whole event. Who else would bury their own family the same day they pass away? Everyone knew my grandfather's love of toys, yet the grave was a mere stone slab on the ground, void of any children's toys. My dad didn't even bother putting flowers. His disdain for my grandfather was almost pitiful. Sorry, Grandpa. I tried to force out some words, but the only thing that came out was a choked sob. You told me to stay strong, but right now, I'm the farthest from it. Like that one time, a long time ago. Grandpa!
Oh, it's so good to see you again, sweetie.
I was swept into a giant bear hug, and we both laughed as he swung me around like an airplane. It was one of my favorite things about seeing my grandfather, the way he greeted me. Unlike my father, my grandfather was loving and playful, even as I grew older. Sorry that Daddy couldn't be here today. He said that he wasn't feeling too good again. It had always been like that. Dad missed every visit to Grandpa's house, citing he was busy with work or wasn't feeling well.
Is that so? Well, that's okay. Daddy can come round next time. And you're here, right?
Yeah. So what are we doing today, Grandpa? Mommy says that there's a new dessert cafe opened in town. Maybe we can go?
Oh, I would love to, but I've been so busy with the company these days. We're actually working on a little something. Would you like to see?
Yes. Ooh, is that a toy?
It is. I was designing a new line of them, but I feel like something's missing. You don't think that you could help me out, could you?
Of course.
He placed the toy in my hands with a smile, and I inspected it carefully. It was beautifully crafted, and obviously a lot of work was put into it. There was one thing, though.
So, what do you think?
I think the heart on its chest should light up when you hug it. It'll be like it's alive, and it can be like a little nightlight before you sleep.
He stroked his chin, considering my input while nodding his head. After a few moments of silent deliberation, he turned to me with a chuckle.
That's a great idea. I'll get to changing it right away. You're always like my little lucky charm, dear. You always know what to add to make the perfect toy.
Well, I hope I can be like you one day, Grandpa.
You want to make toys as well?
Well, making people happy is the best feeling in the world. I don't know if I want to make toys when I grow up, though.
Don't worry too much about it. You'll have plenty of time to decide. Besides, you should do what makes you happy as well.
That makes sense. Daddy doesn't think of it in the same way, though.
Your father, I'm sure he just wants the best for you.
I'm not so sure about that.
Sweetie, look at me.
He bent down to look at me eye level, with a serious look on his face.
As much as your father may say something that doesn't make sense now, you must remember that he's always thinking about you. He loves you, there's no doubt about that. And you need to love him just as equally.
I don't hate Daddy. I really do love him. I don't know why he's like this, though.
Your father and I have had some difficulties with each other in the past, but it's nothing that you should be concerned about.
I had heard tidbits from this and my mother and various other people. The only people who had stayed quiet were my father and grandfather. Both of them refrained from saying a word on the subject matter, but it was clear that whatever happened set up a wall between them. It's hard, though, trying to pretend as if nothing were wrong.
However, no matter what, you have to stay strong. You're a big girl already. And well, there'll come a day when it seems like it's you against the world, but always remember that your family and friends will always be here for you.
Daddy, Mom. Oh,
Um, Daddy, Mommy, your friends at school, me, we'll stand together and get through it.
how can you be so sure of that?
Because we'll be right here and here.
He pointed his finger to my head, first and then pointed at my chest.
So stay strong. Promise?
For a moment he looked almost sad, pleading, but as quickly as it The expression disappeared from his face, and he was all smiles once again. Promise. Upon hearing that, Grandpa let out a great burst of laughter and stood up.
Alright then, enough of that. How about I whip you up some special homemade dessert? I know I can't accompany you to the new cafe, but sure we can talk and eat whilst I cook and do some paperwork.
Homemade dessert? I'll race you to the kitchen.
Hey, slow down there. I'm not what I used to be.
You willed me the very home I love to see you in. Why? Why would you think that I would be ready to take it, especially after this? A surge of anger bubbled within me, but I quickly swallowed it. There was no use in getting mad, especially when the person in question was no longer there. I'm sorry. It's hard to stay calm when you've left me with so many questions, especially about what happened between you and Dad. What am I doing? Talking to a grave. My vision blurred, and I suddenly realized I was crying. My face heated up as the tears rolled down my cheeks. I'll bring you some flowers later. I miss you, Grandpa. I'll try my best to fulfill my promise I gave to you, even if the world might be turned against me. I left the grave, wiping my tears hastily so my parents wouldn't see. Well, it's time to head back home. I'll cook up your favorite lasagna when we get home, okay? Thanks, Mom. However, my dad didn't speak the entire drive home. I wanted to talk to him, but after his moment at the funeral, I wasn't sure if that was a good idea.
It's about time we took off those dreary black clothes.
Gathering my courage, I decided that it was time to talk. Dad, could I ask you something?
Go ahead.
Why do you want me to move into the estate so soon?
I thought I made it rather clear. The college near your grandfather's house, is it? Well, it's a well-known for business program. You are planning to major in business, yes?
Dot dot dot.
Dot dot. Right. After you graduate from high school, you'll just live there and can easily commute to and from school. It's perfect fit for you.
But it's so sudden. You just decided so quickly right after the funeral.
Don't be so sensitive. If you like that in the real world, you'll be crushed.
I'm just saying that maybe we could talk a bit more about my future. In reply, my father rubbed his temples and sighed quietly.
After you graduate from college, you'll work at the Anderson Family Toys. I have connections since I'm part of the board of directors, so you'll be guaranteed a spot. That is what we talked about before, yes?
But what if.
Stop mumbling.
But what if I don't want to work there?
Don't be silly, it's a family company, our company. I'm not just going to hand it over to some incompetent vice chairman.
Dot dot dot. He came closer to me and his face softened.
This is all for the best, okay? You may not know it right now, but you'll appreciate it later.
For some reason, when I heard him say that, something snapped in me. I wasn't sure what it was, but it made me feel so angry. Do you even care that grandfather passed away?
Of course I do.
Well, everything seems fine and dandy to you. Things couldn't be better.
Excuse me. I don't like your tone, young lady.
It's like nothing even happened at all. Like you just ignore the fact that he's no longer here.
Do not raise your voice at me.
What did he ever do to you to deserve this? My father, his face hardened, crossed his arms, and erupted in angry laughter.
Ha! You sure place him on a pedestal like he's some kind of venerated god or something. It makes me sick.
Is that it? Are you happy seeing grandfather dead while everyone was grieving? You were holding yourself back from laughing in everyone's faces. Did you feel just a bit happier seeing him lie in the graveyard? A flash of rage crossed his face, and he whipped the back of his hand across my cheek. Shit.
The domestic abuse just turned up to 11.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know anything running your mouth like that. somehow you know everything that went on when you're just a little girl that doesn't know how to keep her mouth shut. You did not know my father. You did not know what he was capable of. Thoughts.
Is everything all right? What happened? Nothing. I'm not hungry. I think I'll just go upstairs. Honey? Wait!
That went from one to 11 in the space of one line.
Yes. I quickly turned up and ran up the stairs to my room, slamming the door behind me. My breath came in short pants, and for a while I leaned against the door to my bedroom, eventually sliding down to sit against it. How did things become like this? My cheek still throbbed. I tentatively stood up and looked at the mirror to see how it looked. Hopefully it doesn't bruise. What am I saying? Tears formed in the corners of my eyes, but I blinked them back rapidly. I couldn't cry for the second time today. I had to be stronger than that. Are you alright? Your father told me nothing happened, but you know your father. I'm fine. I just lost my appetite. The lasagna's done, though. I don't want you skipping any meals. Are you sure? Yeah, don't worry about me. Mom, I'll come downstairs later to eat. You're not telling me the whole story. I just don't want to eat right now. Please, dear, tell me what's going on. I wish you would tell me why you're being like this. Dot dot dot. I wanted to tell her. Part of me was screaming to tell her what Dad had done. At the same time, I knew she couldn't fix anything. Besides, I was moving out regardless. I remained silent, letting the event remain in the past. Well, I'll leave your food out on the table if you want to eat it later. Finally, my mom left me alone. It was strange to think that she was only a few inches away from me, only separated by a single wooden door. I didn't really know what to do. I needed to do something, anything to get my mind off of what just happened. Anything would be better than thinking any more about the pain that's still radiating from my cheek. I was going to move into my grandfather's house tomorrow. I should probably pack my stuff so I would be prepared for tomorrow. Yeah, that was a good idea. I should start packing. I opened up the closet, rummaging around for a while before I found two large bags. Pulling them out to the floor of my room, I then began to empty my drawers and cabinets so I can bring all the things with me. I didn't have much to bring, other than just clothes and some toiletries. It was kind of bizarre that I didn't have many personal belongings. It wasn't like my luggage was completely devoid of them, but I certainly didn't have many things in my room that would miss if I suddenly just left the house. I shook my head to rid myself of these thoughts. If I were going to be my if it were going to be my new home, it would have to feel like it, one way or another. I was going to make it home. Just as I was packing my things, my cell phone began ringing and vibrating in my pocket. Very anime-ish.
Anime.
Yeah. I slid my phone out of my pocket and answered it while slowly easing myself onto my bed. Who could possibly be calling? Hey, Anderson, you there? Is everything alright? We were worried about you, so we decided to call. Dot dot dot. Hello? I'm really glad you guys called. My voice managed to come out, though it was only a whisper. What happened? Are you okay? Well, I slowly began to tell them about the funeral that afternoon. A small silence followed when I was done recounting what happened, and to my relief, Naomi finally spoke up. I can't begin to imagine how you must be feeling right now. I'm so sorry. Do you want us to come over right now? No, it's okay. My dad is in a good mood, so could we just keep on talking on the phone like this? Of course. We'd stay on the phone until the crack of dawn, right, Suzu? Yeah, we're always here if you need us. After all, we wouldn't be the awesome triple threat trio without you, right? Yeah. Triple threat trio? That sounds like the name of a gang. Yeah, I mean, we're we're all taking on the world together. We've got to sound somewhat scary, or else no one's gonna take us seriously. What's with you and naming things? You gotta step up your game, Naomi. Falling behind the cool kids like Anderson and me. Tss, tss. Hey, I'm a cool kid. If anything, I'd say you'd have to step up your game. We chatted cheerfully about sort of things. I very soon I had forgotten about the events that day and was engaged in a conversation about Naomi's favorite TV show, some program called Herlock. Well then,
I wonder what that's based off.
A mystery indeed. We all agreed.
Your pun then was just tragic.
Very. We all agreed that the actor playing the titular character certainly had a very distinctive look about him, with that long overcoat and scarf wrapped around his neck. Real mysterious.
I will. I will do something if you continue those jokes.
We had many disagreements about who we thought was the coolest character. Yeah, he had really high cheekbones, and his eyes are pretty, though I do have to say I prefer Jatson, and as a bonus his actor is just so sassy.
Mm.
I looked at the clock hanging on the wall and realized how late it was. Whoa, it's already 1 a.m.? Sorry for keeping you guys up so late. I think I'm gonna hit the hay for tonight. See you guys at school tomorrow. Reminds me of all those Warzone parties. Jesus.
It reminds me of when I played zombies for 18 hours.
Jesus Christ, that's way beyond a party. What I had was a party, what you had was a marathon.
Me and someone else were playing zombies for 18 hours.
God, what the
That
hell?
was season 1.
Dude, right at season 1, holy shit. Hello? Not yet. Not yet. I should probably shower and go to bed. I can't believe I stayed up this late just to talk to my friends. Hey, everyone does it. But it was really nice. Well, to the bathroom I go. I took a relaxing shower. Nothing beat hot water and the feeling of being clean. After drying myself, I promptly dressed in my pajamas and crawled into bed. A nice hot shower after a long day. I'm so glad to finally be in bed. It had been a really long day. I knew that I was wishing for something to change back in class, but I certainly wasn't expecting any of the things that happened today. And I have to go back to school tomorrow. Ugh. I curled up on my side and tightly wrapped the blankets around me. I really was in the mood to be returning to school, but my dad would probably make me just go for the sake of it. It's time to go to sleep. I reached out to the lamp on the nightstand to turn off the lights. However, my mind was so lost in the passing of my grandfather and the thought of inheriting something so big that it haunted my mind the entire night until the next morning. Mm. I shook my head out to try to clear out the sleepiness out of me to no avail. I really didn't get any sleep last night. It's already time to wake up? Wait, school. As soon as I realized I had to go to school, I slid out of the bed and looked at the vanity mirror. That's a relief. Luckily, there was barely a bruise on my cheek. You had to squint to actually see it. I doubted anyone would actually notice it unless they leaned in really close. Breathing out of sight, I got dressed, took my backpack, and caught the bus to go to school. It wasn't
Leaned
even,
in really close. This is possibly setting up for a plot point later, right?
yeah. With who, I wonder. It wasn't even hours before everyone heard the news. I was approached in school and given condolences for my loss. However, that wasn't what shocked my friends. Wait, so you have a whole Anderson house to yourself? Lucky as hell, man. Ahem. Quit being so sensitive, Naomi. Quit being so vulgar, Suzu. So, who are we gonna side with here?
Who would you prefer to side with out of those two responses?
Think,
Vulgarity or pure sensitivity?
hmm. I think I
I always,
sided with Suzu, but what did you side with?
I always side with Suzu.
All right, let's side with Suzu. Of course you would side with her. Haha, at least she
Mm.
knows how to have fun. I know how to have fun. You don't need to be wild to have fun. Guys, I'm going there after school today because my parents want me to get used to living there. Seriously, it hasn't been a day since you came back to school. I know, but my parents want me to try living there as soon as possible. Still, that's really fast. Are you going to be okay? Of course. But even the comfort of my best friends, life seemed to keep testing me. Oof! Hey, don't go shoving people like that. Oops, did I strike a nerve, Capini? She let out a small laugh as she twirled her hair around her finger. Lizette, One of the last people I wanted to see today. It's not me you should be apologizing to.
Oh, Anderson. Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. Haven't you already heard, Lizette?
Of what?
Her grandfather's passing. Well, I'm sorry about that. I don't really watch a lot of news. It really doesn't sound like you mean it. She's sus. I do mean it. Earnestly.
Vento! Vento!
Vent! Why wouldn't I? Typical Capini. It isn't her family involved with the mafia or something? I wouldn't be surprised if she brought a bat from behind her back right at this moment. I had nearly forgotten the crowd that followed Lizette, which was mostly comprised of people that no one wanted to see on a typical school day. No one had the slightest idea why they followed Lizette around persistently, but they labeled themselves as social equals with her.
That is out of line. Suzu comes from an honest family, says the one whose family profits from political scandals.
Yeah, your dad doesn't make anything unless he's in court with dirty politicians. Ugh. Hey, let's all calm down for a second, all right? I'm sure Anderson needs some time to recuperate. I mean, what just happened, we need to give her some respect. Just stop. Stop acting like they got that already. Like you feel sorry for me. What are you talking about? I'm sure you're happy seeing me like this. You already have everything you wanted, and now seeing me like this, life couldn't get any better. Bitterness seeped into me, and words started flying out of my mouth without filter. Honestly, I didn't care. I was so consumed by anger that I only saw Lizette in front of me. What exactly am I to you? Just another part of your obstacle course? Is that what I am? I'm sick of it, Lizette. I'm sick of all these charades. I'm sick of you. Gasps rose from the crowd around her, and I was brought back to the school hallway. Even my friends beside me looked at me in surprise. One girl looked like she was going to speak up, but Lizette held her hand up to stop her. There was an emotion in her face I couldn't quite make out, but I could see a form of pity in her eyes. No, don't you dare pity me. I looked away from her. I didn't want to see that emotion in her eyes when she was talking to me. She didn't have the right to look at me that way. I'm sorry. I know your grandfather passing away must have really taken a toll on your emotions. She stepped towards me and put her hand on my shoulder, giving me a tiny smile, as if for old time's sake. But for some reason, I didn't feel comforted at all. Not that I was just angry at her, but the expression on her face when she leaned in close to me contorted into something complex. Something different was about her. I couldn't quite place my finger on it, but something about her had definitely changed. Sus. I call it sus. Well, I'll be going for now.
Why you assaulted her?
Track meet responsibilities and all that other stuff. See you later. Something about Lizette made me feel uncomfortable. I wasn't just angry, but also uneasy. What was it? I'd never seen her like that before. I decided to pay no further attention to it. She continued running down the hallway with her gaggle of friends behind her. I refocused my attention to Mrs. Phillips, who was walking down the hall towards me. Is everything all right, girls?
Nothing we couldn't handle, Mrs. P. Just a bunch of snobs.
Suzu, hush. It was nothing, Mrs. Phillips. Well, I see. Well, Miss Anderson, please accept my condolences for your loss. Thank you, Miss Phillips. Your grandfather was a good man. He really upheld the philanthropy of his company's policies, and that money that went towards charity, too. I know. He was amazing. I looked up to him, and I want to be as good as he was. Well, I know that you'll be as great as your grandfather.
Hell yeah, she will. She'll be 10 times better than her grandfather.
Would I? Would I really be better than my grandfather? Everyone seemed to have high expectations for me. I wanted to do my best and make my family proud, but to be better than my grandfather? I wasn't sure about that. From outside the school window, I saw a familiar blue car pull up to the curb. Undoubtedly, it was my father in the driver's seat. Oh, my ride's here. I guess I'll see you about tomorrow. Want us to come with you? Oh, no, it's okay. I'll be fine. See ya. Hey, Dad.
Hey, honey.
As I got into the car, I noticed my father looked troubled, clutching at his steering wheel and staring straight ahead, as if something was really bothering him.
About what happened yesterday. I'm sorry for yelling at you. Does your cheek still hurt?
No, it's nothing to worry about.
I mean it. I shouldn't have laid a finger on you. You know that you're my most precious daughter. You're all that I have.
Hmm.
I.
Yeah, he couldn't bring himself to say what he could never say to me for such a long time. I've always wanted to hear those words to affirm how he really felt, but I guess even now he couldn't say it to me. I turned my head away to look at the window. There was no point in waiting for something that was never going to come. And like that, he started to drive and the conversation between us ended. I decided to focus my attention on the passing scenery. We were taking the usual route to grandfather's house. It was located within the vicinity of the school district, but it was still pretty far from the school and from wherever our house was. He always had lived alone. He insisted on doing things by himself, even at his age of living in such a large house. I wondered, did he pass away with no one at his side as well? It sounded so lonely and sad. It's strange that he decided on living alone in his large estate. If anything, he could have lived with us. Though he and my father would probably have given each other the silent treatment the entire time, maybe living alone was preferable to that. I actually haven't visited him for quite a while. Visits to his house were most frequent when I was a child, and I had grown up long since then. The last time I visited, though, I thought he looked just as he usually was, happy and healthy. But things changed. In the back of my mind, I knew he would have to leave one day. It wasn't like humans could live forever. So, why did my heart feel so heavy? The car ride was mostly spent in silence until he spoke up again.
How was school? Maintaining your grades, I hope.
Yeah, I've been trying my best so far.
Trying? That's really not doing the best you can, is it?
With my father, only some words I said were filtered through his ears. It was difficult to keep up a conversation without eventually talking about academics or my future, even if it was something loosely based on it. He always found a way to integrate whenever we whenever we talked.
Anyway, your belongings are in the trunk. There isn't a lot, so I'm sure you can manage bringing them inside the house. After all, you're on the road to being independent now.
Yes, I can manage on my own. The usual silence resumed between us. I really wasn't sure what to say around him, especially when most of the time we didn't share the same opinions. One question did linger in my mind, though. If he was going to justify acting so nonchalant in grandfather's funeral, I had the right to at least know why. What are we going to do here? Prod or leave it alone?
We're gonna leave this man alone. He's obviously not a solid man, therefore we don't give him words.
Yeah, let's just go to the house. Yeah, let's just go. There was no use talking about to him about this. It would be like reopening a wound or reapplying a bruise. I sighed. He gave me a side glance out of curiosity, but didn't pursue it further. Typical. I leaned against the car door and stared at the window. I really couldn't think. What would this place be like? I had been to my grandfather's house before, but it was one thing visiting and it was another thing actually living there. How would I manage living on my own without any training to really care for a house? I knew naturally that bills would be paid for by my parents, who inherited grandfather's stocks to the corporation, but I never lived independently before. Thinking about it made me feel some kind of bird being pushed out of the nest. Though I was technically an adult, I was felt unprepared and a little bit daunted at the prospect of actually moving into a new place. Most people my age would be ecstatic moving out. After all, it would symbolize some kind of change in their lives, like being on the road to independence. But I felt like it was nothing of the sort. I really hoped I wouldn't let my parents down. I wouldn't let grandfather down. What would be he saying right now? I gazed upon the passing clouds in the sky. If you're out there, grandfather, how would you be doing? What would there be anything you'd want to tell me at this moment? And of course, no answer. What was I doing? Searching for an answer in a heaven that would or would not exist. I ducked my head and stared at the blur of the trees and cars from the car window. My head was definitely going into the clouds there at the moment. Either way, I found myself being driven off to my new home. The car rolled to a stop and I drifted out of my thoughts.
Here we are. Go on in.
All right, tell Mom I love her.
All right.
I love you, Dad.
Dots.
No, make sure to come by and visit us often. No, I'm gonna miss you lots. Nothing than a blank stare. I paused for a bit before reaching out of the car door handle, waiting for any form of a goodbye, but he didn't speak again. I sighed and exited the car. Hearing my dad pop open the trunk, I saw the 2 large bags I packed last night that were large enough to carry only the things I needed. I took them out, placed one bag on each shoulder, and closed the trunk. He then drove off, leaving me alone in front of the mansion. I watched the blue car fade into the distance of the road before turning to see my new home. There it is. It's huge. My grandfather gave me this? It's hard to believe. The house was framed by a set of tall gates, and I hesitantly pushed them aside to take in the entire estate. The house still looked like it was when I last visited him. At a glance, it seemed kind of intimidating with size, though if I came closer, it was clear that there was more to it than that. The brick walls were framed by shrubbery and lovely flowers, giving it a homely and welcoming look. But in contrast, the tall doors into the house gave me a feeling of grandeur. Who knows what was waiting for me, but I wouldn't back down at this moment. I took out the key to the front doors and unlocked them. Well, might as well make myself at home. I'll be staying here quite a while anyways. That's when I saw them. Lying.
This is where I have time. This is where I get lines.
Finally, you shine after all that time.
I have lines, and quite a few lines from now on.
Lying on the floor was a group of men. They were all unconscious, but there was no explanation as to why they were there in the first place. I dropped my bags as I let the door close on its own behind me. Huh? Who the heck are these guys? Why are they here? What's going on? Some of them had open wounds. The blood was staining the floor and the scent was intermingling with the air. I couldn't help but feel bad for them instinctively, but nevertheless I was shocked and a bit angry at this sudden intrusion. My mind suddenly went from caring to concern to confusing and demanding answers. Who are you guys? No response.
No response.
I'll call the police. Still nothing. None of them seemed to be awake or to answer or respond to me. It seemed surreal to have random strangers in the house I just moved into, but I wanted answers quickly. That was until... Abe, get away from me!
Woman, you're going to let me kiss you.
I couldn't believe it myself, but within a mere blink of an eye, one of the men went from lying on the floor to being right in front of my face. What was even more odd was the fact that I felt serene and calm about it. Slowly a desire burned from my chest, telling me to accept his kiss, even when my mind vehemently refused. Go ahead?
Good.
As he kissed me, I could feel my body go weak. I didn't know why, but that kiss was draining me of my energy, and yet it was so good it made my heart sing. It was a strange and tingling feeling that danced over every nerve on my body. I could feel the streams of intangible energy run up my body into my lips. It felt odd, but at the same time it felt amazing.
Sam, stop it.
The person kissing me, Sam was his name? I glanced behind him.
I said stop. Now. Fine.
Finally, he pulled back and I was left standing there in a daze. What? Huh? I couldn't tell what was going on. My mind was completely enwrapped by the kiss and my thoughts that melted into the depths of my forgotten memories.
Please forgive my brother. He's a bit reckless. At least I feel a hell of a lot better than you right now. Because you used your abilities on her. Sam, you're such a reckless brute, taking advantage of a beautiful young woman like her. Shut up that pretty boy mouth of yours before I rip it from your pretty boy face. Sheesh, you guys, can we not fight right now? Not all of us are in the best state. I guess you are right, Matthew. I agree. Incoherent dots.
However, as the men got up and started to chat freely, my thoughts began to reassemble and I remembered my confusion and anger once again, only now multiplied tenfold. What?
Did you say something beautiful?
And I exploded. What's going on? Why the hell are you here in my house? Why are all you wounded? Why did you kiss me? Who are you guys? I couldn't help exploding, but after being taken advantage of and being left in a mush state, My words escaped without filter. I definitely scared the men around me, even the man who kissed me. Wait a second. The guy who kissed me. Ow!
No, that's me. Ouch, what's your problem?
What's your problem? You can't just go around forcing people to kiss you like that. Are you some kind of pervert?
Pervert, it was only a kiss.
It might mean nothing to you, but it means a lot to me.
What, was that your first kiss?
Incoherent dots.
Oh, hey, what was that for?
I know first kisses aren't exactly amazing and full of sparkles and something out of a fairy tale, but I at least expected it to be more than just something forced.
So, it was your first kiss. Stop making such a big deal out of it.
Are you asking to get punched again?
Well, what do you want me to do? It's not like I can somehow take it back.
What are we gonna do here?
What would the logical response be?
I'm gonna try for the apology. How about that?
Yes, let's go apologize. Let's ask for the apologize.
You should at least apologize. That would suffice. As if to himself, he muttered something under his breath.
Why do I always look like a bad guy? Apologies aren't my forte, but I'll try my best.
Huh?
Okay, fine, I'm sorry.
Sorry about what?
I'm sorry for kissing you at that. It went too far.
He sighed and ran his fingers through his hair.
I didn't mean for it to turn that way. It's just, I act on impulse, okay? It's difficult for me to control myself and, what am I saying?
It's okay. I get what you're trying to say. Thank you for the apology. Yeah, no problem.
You keep forgetting! Next line, anyway.
Anyway, if you try to pull any funny business in the future, just a fair warning. I know Taekwondo. I think I bickered enough. Time to go back to the main issue. So, what exactly are all of you doing in my house?
Yes, please forgive us. And our intrusion. We did not know this abode belonged to anyone, nor did we have the time to take that into consideration.
What? What do you mean? You just don't barge into people's homes.
You wouldn't have had to if we weren't as wounded as we are currently. We just escaped from a deadly fight that could have ended our lives. Luckily for us, your home was near, and the windows were unblocked. So we quickly came inside.
The last time I remembered, there were laws preventing strangers from stepping on private property, although considering the severity of their wounds, it had to be serious. I guess that explains the wounds, but not why he kissed me. He had absolutely no right to do that.
Well, lovely flustered lady, it's hard to explain truly. We're not exactly normal.
Not normal. What are you guys, demons or something? I asked, almost jokingly, but the boys seemed to take my question differently. ...
Thoughts? Well, actually, yeah, something like that.
Eh?
We're incubi, miss. Demons who consume the sexual energy of humans to survive.
Huh? Incubi, the fabled demons that exist to haunt humans and make them sex-crazed monsters? The mythical beings that could look like anyone just to get in your pants? The imaginary monsters you only saw in movies or on TV?
Well, they could get into my pants.
Mine too.
Hello, did you hear him? We're telling the truth. Do you think she's still processing it? Yes, and she'll understand right about.
Right. It was funny while it lasted, but it's time to cut the joke short. Incubuses don't exist. There was no way they existed. That would be practically impossible.
Incubi is a correct plural form, and yes, we do exist.
Prove it. As soon as the words left my mouth, I instantly regretted them. Very well. Oh,
Very well, Eric. Go ahead. Very well. My sweet, you're so tempting with such non-belief. Let me ease your mind with a tender kiss. I promise you'll enjoy every minute of it, and maybe you'll even want more.
what? Once again, I was lost in a pool of calm and serenity. Staring into Eric's eyes, I felt waves of heat course through my chest and onto my face. Painting my cheeks ran their wake. I couldn't help but nod and agree to his offer. Yeah, okay. With another kiss, my heart began to flutter once again in my chest, and my mind was sent spinning in a heated, passion-filled pleasure. Yet I could feel my body drain of energy as he kissed me.
All right, that's enough. Ah, very well. I feel so much better.
As he pulled away, I was left in the mental mush pool. I felt weak in the knees. Despite my will demeaning me to stand straight in front of the boys before me, the world around me began to spin as I tried to speak. I don't blame her. At all. I think I'm going to...
Ah, where are our manners? I'm James. These are my brothers, Sam, Eric, Matthew, and Damien. Miss? Miss, are you okay? Shit, she fainted. Yes.
Yes. I couldn't believe it. Incubi. Real. It all spun around my head until I saw only black. Floating in the darkness, my mind kept replaying the scene over and over again, reminding my body of the touch of the incubi's lips pressed against mine. However, I began to feel the smooth silk around me and my eyelids unwillingly opened. Where? I woke to find myself in an unfamiliar place. Where was Mom? Dad? I, I was pretty sure this wasn't my room. Oh wait, I lived at my grandfather's house now. Of course it would be unfamiliar. I rubbed my eyes and surveyed my surroundings. I was still in the clothes I arrived in the house in, but I was laying in a silk-covered bed. I remember coming in the afternoon. So why was it nighttime already? Suppressing a yawn, I stretched my arms. Maybe I should order some food for delivery. I was feeling pretty hungry. I was about to sit up, but suddenly I realized I wasn't alone.
You're awake.
Huh? Gah! Since when he was standing there? And who the heck was he? A guy in my bedroom? Did we? There's no way!
Silence.
Sorry, I think I was saying my thoughts aloud. Why was I apologizing? To a stranger who only said 2 words since I woke up. Wait, he looked eerily familiar. Then it all came back to me. Incubus. He was an incubus. He and his brothers came here for refuge, and 2 of them kissed me. Then I fainted, and that's how things came to this. Oh!
Silence.
He was leaning against the far wall, looking at me. My heart began to race as I thought of the endless list of possibilities this situation brought me. I hated the thought of being under an incubus's power, especially in a bedroom. So what are we gonna do?
We're gonna be calm in this situation.
Yeah.
Jumping and protecting yourself from a man who's as low-toned as him.
Yeah, that ain't right to attack, so we're just gonna say, be calm.
He came.
I took a deep breath. I was sure that if any of them wanted to take advantage of me, they would have already. Yeah, I'm awake now.
That's good.
I saw a form of a smile on his face, which made me blush a bit. Why though? One thing still concerned me though.
I'm not going to use my powers on you.
How?
I can read minds. It's an ability I was born with. Each of us has different ability outside of our usual mind-altering powers.
Great. Even more surprises. I grew even more worried about the situation I was in. I see. How long have I been asleep?
For a few hours here. It's gotten quite dark outside already.
Ah, well, where are the others?
My brothers are downstairs cleaning up the blood from the lobby floor and making you dinner as an apology.
Oh, okay. That's unexpectedly sweet.
Oh, it's the least we can do after invading your home and two of us using our powers on you.
You've got a point. Right, I'd forgotten about that. It still irked me that they had practically taken advantage of me at that point. Even if they were demons, it was pretty rude to demonstrate their powers by kissing me. I wasn't some kind of human plaything. All this seemed pretty unreal. It was like something out of those romance novels that Naomi sometimes read. I wish I could have just went back to sleep and forgotten about all this. Maybe I should have called the police on them. Then I would have never landed myself in this situation.
Do you feel well enough to get out of bed?
Yeah, I think so. Whoa!
Trust me, I won't let you go.
I'm not so sure about this.
I promise.
Uh, okay. I trust you.
Good.
I was speechless. He was carrying me as if I weighed nothing. He was so strong.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
It's alright. I'm used to it.
I decided to close my mouth for the time be, being so that I wouldn't weird him out or make things more awkward than they already were. Well, he didn't seem to mind carrying me or listening to me talk, so at least things weren't too strange. Damien seemed very quiet and calm about everything, especially with the situation we were in. However, there was a sort of longing in his eyes when he looked at me that wasn't lustful. It was more in admiration. Once we reached the lobby, I decided I felt well enough to walk on my own. As strong as he was, it was like he was carrying nothing. I didn't want to make him carry me everywhere. Yeah, that would be mortifying. Thanks for carrying me, but I think I can walk by myself now. Not saying that I didn't like it, I mean. I liked it, not in a weird way, of course. It's not like I get carried around all the time. What I'm trying to say is that it was really nice of you to do that. I started to fumble over my words again. Real smooth.
It's no problem. I'll be heading to the dining room then.
Alright, see you. He gently lowered me to the ground before he walked off quietly, disappearing into the shadows of the dark lobby.
Oh, hi.
Suddenly, a boy who looked around my age, possibly younger, bounced up to me. He looked very familiar. Oh, wait. Ah, you're Matthew, right?
That's me. Are you feeling better now? We were all worried when you suddenly passed out.
I'm fine.
Really? Your face is kinda red. Do you feel sick?
No, I'm fine. I'm sure of it. I must have been blushing when Damien was carrying me downstairs. How embarrassing. I don't blame her.
Well, well, if you say so. If you say so, I hope Sam and Eric didn't make you upset.
It's okay. After all, I did hit Sam after what he did. And about Eric, I just wanted you guys to prove me what you were saying. I suppose incubi are real then. I wondered how exactly I got myself into this mess. First my grandfather, then a fight with my father, blowing up at Lizette. Now this, I certainly had a knack for getting myself into sticky situations.
Oh, I have an idea.
He shoved his hands into his pockets with a cheery grin on his face.
Wait for it, wait for it.
Is he trying to do a magic trick?
Ta-da!
Aww.
The angry squirrel!
What is that exactly?
He smiled as to wave it off, but when he opened his eyes and he saw what he was holding, his face froze in shock. Wait a second.
Not. Remember. Wait a second. What did I just make? This is.
What he produced from his pocket was a creepy-looking doll.
What is that?
I'm not so sure.
It's an angry-looking squirrel.
His face paled considerably, and he dropped down to the floor, scooting away from it frantically.
Get it away from me! It might be possessed by a demon or something.
Big words from an incubi.
Oh,
But isn't he a demon himself?
that's not what I wanted to make. I just wanted to cheer you. Just wanted to surprise you with a stuffed animal or something to cheer you up. But it looks like it came straight out of a horror movie.
He slumped his shoulders and looked down at his feet. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to look so dejected. I mean, it's certainly unique. I'm keeping this thing. I don't care.
But it looks so creepy.
I know, but at least it's hidden, you know? Or do you want him to have it?
Yeah, you said keep it. I won't keep it. I did the line.
Yeah, I'll keep it. But oh.
Yes, I just did the line.
Okay. It's a thought that counts, right? You wanted to cheer me up after all. I picked up the doll and looked at it closely. Sure, it looked pretty weird at first, but it could be cute if I looked at it from a certain angle. I gave him a small smile. Thanks.
You're welcome. It's good to see you smiling, even though the thing I made still kind of creeps me out. Anyway, you should come with me to the dining room. We're almost finished with food, and well, I don't mean to brag, but we're pretty decent chefs.
Sounds great. Lead the way. Something smells good. My stumble rumbled in agreement. I was starving.
Oh, the girl's awake.
Excuse me, I have a name, you know.
Should we really care? Sam, I will roast that tongue of yours for dinner if you don't stop flapping it in that idiotic mouth of yours. Psst, whatever. I apologize for his attitude.
Oh, that's fine.
Good. I hope you enjoy the meal we prepared for you.
Meal? For a second, my mind didn't understand what James meant. Maybe it was the doll getting to my head and distracting me. Ah, that's right. Damien and Matthew mentioned that they were making a dinner as an apology. Oh, wait. You didn't have to.
We insist. Besides, it's quite impossible to undo our cooking, even if you command us to.
All right, well, thank you. Matthew put down the last of the plates on the table and bowed a bit exaggeratingly to me, gesturing to the table with a sweeping motion.
There we go. Dinner's all served.
The table was filled with various foods from an eclectic selection of cuisines. One portion of the table was filled with elegantly plated Asian foods, and another portion some yummy-looking desserts. And there were yet more and more plates than I could have possibly imagined. Whoa, that's a lot of food, and it all looks so good.
We hope you enjoy it, my sweet.
What, sweet? Me?
This character is absolutely brilliant for me to voice.
It is.
That's enough, Eric. You're no fun, James. I don't need to be fun, Eric. Miss, please follow me.
I didn't know what came over me, whether it was his politeness or maybe his power, but I couldn't help but take his offered arm. James seemed very kind and intelligent. Aside from that, there was something that set him apart from his brothers, not to mention he didn't really seem to hold much appreciation for them.
Miss, I have to ask, why do you live alone?
Oh, well, it's kind of a long story.
I'm all ears if you wish to tell.
I have to explain for James, huh?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I'll just do that then. Sure. To put it briefly, I just moved here today.
That explains the luggage that luggage you brought in when you came through the front doors. By the way, we put your belongings in your room you were sleeping in. That seems to be the master's bedroom, I believe.
Thanks. This house is really big. I don't think I've even explored the entirety of the estate when I was a child.
You lived here before?
No, truth be told, this was my grandfather's house. I used to visit him all the time when he was younger.
May I ask why you now live in your grandfather's house?
He actually passed away yesterday. It was bequeathed to me in his will, and I was sent to live here, whether I liked it or not.
My condolences. It seems like you don't like the idea of living here.
It's not that I don't like this house or that I don't have fond memories of being here. It's just the implications that come with staying at this estate. It's kind of complicated to explain.
How do you feel about it?
I certainly wasn't expecting that question, but in a good way. It was different from what I had to hear the entire day at school. I appreciated the fact that he was willing to listen. I feel angry, sad, scared, and confused. It's hard picking out the different emotions I'm feeling right now. I wish I was stronger.
You don't have to be strong.
What do you mean?
I understand that you're going through a difficult time, so it's okay to feel these emotions. You don't have to be strong at all.
Thank you.
Ah, are you all right? There seems to be a small bruise on your cheek.
He caught me off guard with that comment. I thought no one would have noticed something as small as that. Oh, I'm fine. He stopped and leaned in close, a bit too close for comfort. Maybe it was just me, inspecting my face. He was really quite tall, having to bend over so much just to look at me straight in the face. It was hard to look at him, especially when he was so close. After a few seconds, he straightened up and began walking again.
Well, if you're having any problems, I'm always here to listen.
That's really kind of you to offer that.
My pleasure. Here's your seat. Let me get your chair for you, lovely lady.
Oh, Eric was very charming and his smile pulled at my heart. The way that he kept flirting with me definitely designated him as the charmer of the demons, yet there was a little distance in his eyes.
By the way, I apologize for my behavior earlier. Stealing your second kiss like that.
Huh? Oh yeah, when I didn't believe that they were incubi. It's fine, I guess. I mean, you didn't just get up and grab a kiss for no reason.
I'm not as forward like Sam.
Suddenly, Eric leaned in and whispered in my ear.
I won't lie though. I enjoyed kissing you and feeling you melt in my arms.
I was torn between smacking him and trying to play it cool.
Man is charming.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can say.
Oh yeah. You know what? It's dinner. Let's just be cool about this.
No assaulting the people
Yeah.
that have made you dinner.
Yeah, it's dinner. Let's not do that. You sure are quite the charmer.
Yes, I am known for that.
As much as I do appreciate the constant compliments, you don't have to keep talking to me like that.
Like what?
He batted his eyelids as if he had no idea what I was talking about, and I couldn't help but laugh. Well, you're like you're trying to get into my pants half the time.
I can assure you, I'm just a lover of beautiful women.
Something tells me that there's more to it than that. For a moment he looked away, losing a bit of a smile. Before I could question it, though, he turned back to me with a new teasing smile.
Did you want there to be more?
I didn't want to hit him, but I didn't know how to react, so I couldn't look at him. He merely chuckled again in my ear.
Sorry, you just look so cute when you're blushing.
I felt my face heat up simply from his words. Then I felt Eric take my hand and kiss it gently.
I hope you'll enjoy dinner, however, my dear.
I drew my attention back to the dishes. I was both intrigued and slightly scared by the amount of food they made. Seeing my expression, Eric leaned forward and proudly smiled, gesturing to all the dishes with a dramatic sweep of his arm.
I made almost all of the dishes myself.
Humorously enough, Matthew looked at him with a shocked expression, as if he was betrayed. His face changed instantly to that of a frown.
And I'm the Queen of the Nile. What's that supposed to mean? Me and James did that together, dummy. It's you, James, and I, Matthew. Little boys always make mistakes.
Matthew looked at James in disbelief, probably for siding with Eric, and he annoyingly swiveled back to Eric to confront him.
I am not a little boy. I'm barely a year younger than you. Well, you certainly act like it.
I really couldn't help but laugh. See, Matthew seemed very much like a kid. He was adorable. However, I couldn't help but feel like, in a way, he was much more mature than the others, especially Eric.
Is something funny?
No, no, it's nothing at all. Thank you for the meal, all of you.
You're welcome, miss. Such a well-mannered young lady. Beautiful inside and out. Eric, knock it off.
In agreement with Matthew, Sam cocked up his head and glared at Eric.
Seriously? You're getting really annoying with that sucker pact.
It was obvious that Sam was the bad boy of the group, and he had this big tough act, and it's obvious he was physically stronger than the rest of the guys. But was there more to him than that?
I'm just trying to be a gentleman. The young girl's already gone through so much. She deserves a good treatment. There's a difference between a gentleman and being an obnoxious flirt. Schooled even by James. You're going to need some cold water for that, Bert. By the way, I don't believe we caught your name, even though you know each of us.
Ah, I'm Park. Please laugh. There it is.
It's a pleasure to finally know your name. Yeah, that's a nice name.
They were all comfortable around me, despite the awkward situation we were in. It was as if it were natural for them to be around humans. I guess that's just how incubi worked. But I was still curious about one thing. Excuse me. All at once they looked at me. I didn't know why, but having all of them look at me made me feel kind of important, like a queen or something. What is it?
What is it, miss?
I wanted to thank you for the food, but I still want to know why you all came here. I feel like I don't quite understand. Understand, like being told a bunch of incubi randomly appearing in your house is perfectly understandable.
Oh, how do I explain? We were attacked and we came here to heal. What's so difficult to understand? Now you're just being rude, Sam. I'm just saying, how is it difficult to understand?
No, I mean, what specifically happened?
Well, you see, we've been traveling around for quite some time now. Just recently we came into town, but we were jumped by this band of misfits. So in order to escape and heal, we came here for shelter. Again, we apologize for the mess we made.
It's fine, I guess. So you're all better now, right?
Yep, all thanks to you.
Huh, me?
You see, beautiful. We feed on sexual energy. We don't get it from kissing lovely ladies such as yourself. We can simply touch someone's hand and obtain the sexual energy. Everyone carries sexual energy, you know.
I was still in shock about their powers. It just wasn't kisses that gave them power. It was anything physical. No wonder I was out for a while. These incubi intrigued me, but at the same time I could almost hear a warning siren going off in my head.
Offside flag from football just pops up there. Is there anything else you wish to know?
Well, what do you all plan to do now?
Yeah, what are we going to do now, James? That's a good question. We just got here and surely we'll be hunted again if we leave. We can take 'em easily. Not without more training, Sam. The result of that was clearly evident on our last encounter with them.
At that moment, I didn't know what came over me, but suddenly I felt sorry for them. They couldn't have possibly survived out there. If they didn't know it was illegal to break into people's homes, they probably didn't know a bunch of other stuff. They probably would have caused chaos all over town. Or on the flip side, they could be taken in for questioning and be poked and prodded like lab frogs for research. That was even worse. But most of all, they reminded me of back then. I was standing alone.
Flashback time, boys.
Flashback time. The entire classroom was filled with laughter and chatter, but I stood in the midst of it, quiet and alone. It was strange seeing the whole world pass in front of me with such vibrancy, while all the while I stood there. On the plus side, I wasn't engaged in any of the drama that might have arisen, like scribbling on someone's paper for revenge or kicking someone too hard. It was kind of nice just standing back and watching things pass by and life go on. I had long before convinced myself that I preferred being alone. Often I said to engage to myself encouragement, yeah, I want to be alone. There's no one I like better than me, so I ought to spend more time with myself. But there was a certain bitterness to that. Coupled with being alone, it made me feel so sad. There was a certain difference between being alone and lonely. I just didn't realize it at the moment. And even after that moment, my father, my mother, there was no one to turn to. I was so lonely. And that's when I decided on it right then. I was going to see my grandfather. I didn't care if my grandfather wouldn't take me. I was going to walk my way over there and see what he had to say about it. I never had met or seen him before that. What better time to see him then? If no one else was going to help me with what I was feeling, I might as well just have turned to him. So after school, I decided to walk there. I had no idea how to get there, as I was armed with only a scrap of paper with the address scribbled on it. As a 7-year-old, I obviously had great ideas. I soon became lost. And like I always did when I felt lost, I just stood there on the sidewalk, back pressed against the wall, and eyes looking at the strangers passing by. And like always, people continued to pass by and life continued to go on. I was sadder than ever. I had ended up in the situation I was originally in. Nothing had changed. I thought I was silly for even thinking that I could change things with my own hands. That is, until a voice brought me back to reality.
Hmm. 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 Park, is that you?
I looked up and saw an unfamiliar face, but it was obvious that whoever was talking to me knew who I was. And from that moment, things began to change. Life began moving its rusty joints, and I realized things were moving along. Suddenly, I had become part of the crowd that moved like a blur past me. I was no longer someone who stood still and watched others hurry past me. Life had changed. I had changed, because the very person who found me that day was my grandfather. I had the opportunity to help them, though, would I? I wanted to, but I wasn't sure if this was the best idea. After all, 5 demons in my house wasn't exactly the living arrangement that I had imagined when I first moved in. There was a matter of making sure no one found out about their powers. Thinking about them as lab rats made my stomach queasy. And even if they passed for humans, how would I explain having guys living in my house? I imagined if my friends come over, they would practically think I was part of a harem or something. Oh God! Imagine if my parents came over. I think my mom would faint. Who knows what my dad would do? I think he would have them arrested on the spot. Ugh, this is hard. Maybe I should have written out a pros and cons list before actually having to make the decision.
Don't worry too much about it. You have plenty of time to decide besides. You should do what makes you happy as well.
It was strange like that I happened to remember what grandfather said to me when I was little, but it did kind of make sense. They weren't in the same exact situation that I was before, but I did want to help them out. I think it would be easy and ease my conscience and also make me a bit happy to give them help, as weird as that sounded. Clenching my hands into fists, I strengthened my resolve to speak up. Well, you could.
What is it? What was that, lovely lady?
That is,
Spit it out already.
you could stay with me here, if you'd like. As soon as I finished my sentence, the room became still. I'm not sure what went through their heads for my words. The silence in the air cut like a knife before until I finally spoke up once more. It seems like all needed a place to stay, and well, I just moved into this giant house, so it seemed like it made sense. It was still quiet in the room. I decided to keep talking. If you would like to stay here, though, there are two things I need all of you to follow.
Yes.
First of all, you can't use your powers or deliberately do something that might harm me or any guest that comes over. Well, save for enemies, but you get the drift.
That sounds reasonable.
Second, you have to help me with any errands around the house. This place is kind of big, so yeah.
That is a generous offer, miss. And are you sure we would be okay? We don't wish to burden you any more than we already have.
It's alright, really. I mean, I started living here myself, so I would appreciate some help around the house.
A wonderful idea. We'll live here and train whilst helping you with the house. Servants for the lovely princess. What? Are you serious? Shh, be quiet, Sam. I haven't slept in a bed for days. Huh?
They all seem to like the idea, except for Sam. And hey, I didn't really hate the idea either, even if they were incubi. It would be interesting having five guys help me with taking care of the house, given that they would follow the rules I had just laid down.
Yeah, fine. But we're not staying here forever. Only until we can beat up that group of punks. I think that's a reasonable time limit for our stay. Yes, this is awesome. Also beautiful, if you need a bedfellow.
Uh,
Are you there?
yeah.
I just said my line.
Oh, okay. I was happy that they agreed. Maybe because I wasn't going to be lonely for a while. Maybe it was because they all needed help and my want to help people was fulfilled. I would never be sure.
So what are we waiting for? Let's celebrate and dig in. Finally, I'm starving.
Instantly, Matthew and Sam began to stuff themselves with the food on the table. I noticed James' eye twitching in irritation, so I stifled my incoming laugh.
Really, you two? You're both acting like pigs. We'll let them have a little freedom, James. It's not like we've eaten recently either. I'm sure they've been starving. Still, no excuse for stuffing their faces like backyard swine.
I almost couldn't hold it in.
But I did.
That's the choice?
Yeah,
Okay. But I did. I merely smiled before I took some food for myself. There was one piece of food that intrigued me, and it was barely touched by the boys. It looked like green pasta with some shrimp over it. Huh? What's this?
that, miss, is shrimp. That, miss, is a shrimp pesto dish. Pastas are my specialty, so I'm positive you'll enjoy it.
I'd eat that in real life. I'm not gonna lie. I love shrimp and I love pesto.
I'm not. I like pesto, but not the shrimp part of it. Most seafood is not my thing.
I love seafood, so.
For seafood, I'll have tuna
Yeah.
and regular fish, but prawns, shrimp, I'm not the person who goes for that.
I swear, I will probably stuff myself with prawns and shrimp if I ever could.
Oh,
Just like a basket of fried shrimp and prawns, it would be perfect for me. I twirled some of my fork around it and tried it. I could feel my senses open as my taste buds practically melted into the delighted taste. It was creamy and savory, almost impossible to describe. This is amazing.
I'm glad you like it. At least someone in this room has taste.
Matthew and Sam glared at James before they continued to eat. I couldn't help but smile at the brotherly quarrel before eating the rest of the pasta on my plate. James seems to really hold high standards for his brothers, though it wasn't my place to question why. Eventually, we all ate dinner together. It was strange, eating with just guys, but they were enjoyable to be around. They made me feel like a part of their family as we ate together. However, our peace was soon disturbed. Huh? It's my mom. Excuse me. Hello? Hey, honey, how are you? I'm sorry I didn't get to see you off. Hi, Mom. Everything's fine. I'm actually eating dinner right now. Oh, good, good. So there was food there. Well, your father wanted me to call and talk to you about having a house party tomorrow night to celebrate the new house and all. A house party? Tomorrow night? So soon? Your father insists. You know how he is with events. I knew exactly what she meant. He didn't like long, relaxing periods between important events. It was slightly messed up. I expected to act on the drop of a dime from moving immediately the day after a funeral to my grandfather's house to now organizing a party. Well, I don't exactly have you two to help me arrange it. I'm going to need some time to prepare things. Oh, that's fine. I mean, Susan and Naomi can help. I have work, and you know how your father is. I know, I have to do it myself. He won't help. I'm sure it'll be amazing, honey. I have faith in you. Thanks, Mom. All right, I gotta go. I love you, sweetie. I love you too, Mom. Great. Now how am I gonna do this? Is something wrong?
You
Whoops.
can't. Next line. She has to organize a house party for her parents.
How did you? Oh, right, mind reading. But yeah, I gotta do it sooner or my parents will be really disappointed. I have to stay up and organize everything tonight.
Hey, why don't we help? That's what we're here for, right? I don't see why not. I can name a few reasons why we shouldn't. Sam? Back off. We'll take care of everything, miss. Just leave everything to us.
That was surprising. I didn't think the boys would offer help right off the bat. I couldn't help but smile. I was actually rather thankful now that I let them stay. Now I didn't have to do everything alone. As I kept thinking about it, I couldn't help but yawn.
Feeling a little tired over there, princess?
Yeah, it's been a long day. At least tomorrow's the weekend so I can sleep in. And then it hit me. Wait, where are all of you going to sleep?
We found some guest rooms the opposite end of the house. From the master bedroom. I'm sure those will do fine.
Oh, got it. All right then. I'm heading to my room to study and sleep. I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
I think we shall leave it there.
And
We
stop,
could,
right?
yes.
Okay.